Hi there, my name's Athena. I'm a cannabis educator and I'm all about making your prescription practical. I'm here to teach not only the science behind the plant and why it works differently for each of us, but also to share some of my favorite recipes and applications that you can do in your own home with the cultivars that are right for you, thereby giving you the chance to support your own endocannabinoid system in a way that fits your unique lifestyle, which in turn allows you the many freedoms that come from a fully supported ECS. So welcome to my kitchen, and let's get cooking. Hi everybody! Today we are making infused beef curry. Okay, so step number one is of course collect your ingredients. I've got my beef, we need rice, we need potatoes. I like using these little fingerling potatoes. I know they're round and called fingerlings, which are usually, finger shaped, but they're good. They're very good. See, we're going to need carrots, we're going to need onion, we're going to need my bong and my lighter and my drink, which is sadly empty. Carrots. I'm going to use curry sauce, and I will straight up admit that I am using curry packets, and this is not sponsored, so I'm not going, like, you can probably see the brand on the label, but not sponsored. Good shit though. Nice and direct. We're going to get ourselves a nice big onion. So we need beef, curry, carrots, taters, onion, rice. Step number one, start the rice. We're going to rinse our rice at least 3 times. And I personally have a rice cooker, so we are using the rice cooker. Okay. And I'm using basmati rice because that's what my family likes. I need a measuring cup. Like I said, someday, somehow, I'll be organized for this. Eventually. Oh, look at us making a mess. They're new containers. One cup. 2 cups. And I'm actually going to make 3 cups of rice because if we have leftover rice, my youngest likes fried rice. And we tend to run short on rice for this dish. I hear a little wisp from my youngest in the background saying, "Thank you." So we're going to put away as we cook to try to save ourselves some time and some effort. And now you're going to hear me rinsing this rice. I'm going to use cold water to rinse it thoroughly, and I'm going to rinse it and dump it and rinse it and dump it until the water runs clear. Okay, so rinse pass through number 1. Water is quite white and milky looking. We're going to do it again. And remember, cold water. We don't want to start cooking this yet. We just want to get it washed off. Okay. Now I'm going to add in 6 cups. 6 full cups of water. And that water is also going to be cold. Oh no. Sauce. 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's dry that off before we put it in the rice cooker. So 6 cups of water, 3 cups of rice. Pop that back on there. And now we can just turn this on and let it cook and it'll make a regular good old rice. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add some fixins to this first. So first and foremost, we're going to add some salt. We're going to drop in some bay leaves. Just 1 or 2 is fine. You really don't need a lot. And they'll just stay on top. Doop, doop. And that just adds a light hint of flavor to it. Let's see, salt, bay leaf. Let's add a little bit of oil. Let's just go canola. Don't need to be fancy. Just a little splush. And you know what? I'm going to add a couple of peppercorns. So it's not a lot, it's just a few peppercorns. But that is going to add some depth to our rice. So we just pop the lid on that bad boy, turn it on, set it off to the side. Next up, we are going to prep our carrots. We're going to wash our carrot, we're going to wash our onion. The potatoes are going to get a rinse, but they're not really needed to be washed because they come washed. And just a general reminder that I am not sponsored by anybody. So if you see a brand on here, they don't know they're on here. Okay, so we're going to start with the onion. Get the dusty crumbs off. Okay. Maybe I have to sharpen it again. I don't want to cut through. Okay. Yeah, man. There we go. Got those set aside for soup scraps. Score the onion all the way around. Grip from the back with the knuckles popped so I don't cut myself. And chop them tiny. When it gets close to the edge, flip it, chop it down too. See? All but the bit. We're going to do it again. Off with the outer layer. Slice, slice, slice. Nice scores. We don't need to get all the way through to the core, because the core is all teeny anyway. Not to mention it makes things kind of flaky for while you're doing your cutting. Okay. So let's put that in a bowl, shall we? So, onions can go here for now. Ooh. Here I thought I was getting away without getting onion juice in my eyes. Whoop, whoop. Please don't mind my dirty bong. I wash it every day, but I also use it all day, so it builds up. Carrots. That soup stock is getting pretty wicked, and I did an infusion for CBN the other day, and that CBN infusion came out tasting really good, like surprisingly good. So this soup stock is going to be great, but I'm also thinking that maybe the soup stock is going to be very, very potent and very oily, because the infusion remains that I kept turned out, we did the math, you can check out the other streams if you want to see how that was done. But it turns out that there's a 2 full cups worth of canna oil in those remains, and that is an awful lot of remains to be left behind. So I'm thinking that instead of putting it in like 1 or 2 dishes where it's just like lots of weed in 1 or 2 dishes like soups, I can just, turn it into my soup stock and then condense it down, boil off all the excess water and turn it into an actual bouillon. And then I can freeze that bouillon into little scoops, or if it turns out to be a liquid bouillon, I'll be able to put it into little pucks, just like the powdered bouillons that you get in the store. But there's absolutely no reason to let that much can oil go to waste. And these carrot and onion bits are going to taste really, really good in that bouillon. Love it. Absolutely love it. These guys. We'll chop them down a little. See, now this is a fatter carrot, so I want to make it so it's safe for me to chop. And we don't need that running away, right? So we're going to do that. I was going to talk about it and then it was already done. Oops. I'm going to throw this other carrot away. Very carefully not tossing it off the counter. Okay. So those are all good size, but then once it starts getting too thick, I'm going to come around here, chop through there, pop it up on its end, slice down nice and steady. And now I'm all paranoid, so I'm going to make sure that that rice cooker is actually turned on. It is! Huzzah! Okay, so another bowl for the carrots. Now the carrots are going to go in the mix about the same time as the potatoes. So I'll be able to put the potatoes in the same bowl, which is why I grabbed such a large bowl. Okay. And for here, I'm going to give these guys a rinse. Now I gotta tell you guys, I absolutely love fingerling potatoes. And yes, they are more expensive than just getting the big potatoes, but they cook so easy and so fast, and they're so easy to chop. And one little bag is equivalent to one meal for my family, which is perfect. You know, if you have less needs, then it lasts longer, hoorah. But like, these things are so handy. So, if it's a little bitty one, I'm just going to chop it in half. Actually, I think I might do quarters for most of them, no matter what, because we want to make sure that they're small enough that they fit on a spoon nicely. And some of these are actually awful big for fingerlings. That guy there, I'm going to quarter him again. Should always chop all your veggies before you get started on frying anything. Sometimes I remember to look up at chat, see if there's somebody in there talking to me. There's usually not, so I don't feel too bad about missing stuff. But sooner or later, there might actually be people in there, and that would be interesting. I get to say hi. I've got to get this stuff cooking, or else the rice is going to get over crispy waiting for stuff. Because it's still warming up now, but it does take a good half an hour or so cooking time. Because first we got to do the sear, and then we've got to do the simmer, and then we got to do the boil. Or the boil and then the simmer, I should say. Little potatoes. Chop, chop, chop. Toot sweet. Chopping done. Easy peasy. Now, you always chop the meat last because the meat cooks up the board. Also, I should probably get the stewing bits put away. So first I'm going to wash my hand because I just touched the meat. Not that that's that big of a worry for the stuff going into the stewing, or the soup stock, because that soup stock is going to be boiled for hours. Hours and hours and hours. Okay. That goes back in the freezer. Okay, now that's a pretty solid hunk of beef, but it's all stewing beef that's been frozen together. So I'm going to use my big old butcher knife. I'm going to chop her down and then flip the discs down and chop them into reasonable size squares, and that's going to give me multiple sizes and shapes of meat, but they'll all be small enough to be for curry. I'm going to flip that so I have a stable base. See? So now I have all of these flat pieces. And I'm going to have to sharpen my knife afterwards because quite often the ice crystals in the meat is going to cause problems for the blade, making it dull. That's part of what a good cleaver is for. Always make sure you're using your knuckles to guard. You don't want to hurt yourself. It's designed to cut through meat, and you are meat, so please be careful. There we go. Okay, so we've got onions. We've got potatoes and beef. Let's get our cooking surface out, shall we? Give it a nice wipe down. Okay, so that's got a nice wipe down. Let's get the pot out. Okay. Big old pretty pot. Works better if I plug it in. Oh, it always has to yell. Darn nonsense. Gonna turn that on. We're gonna give her a nice sear. And the first thing we're gonna toss in is the onions, followed by the beef. Give that a nice little toss through. And then we're gonna add in the carrots and the potatoes. And like stir that for a minute. Then we're gonna add in a bunch of water, about 4 to 6 cups. Oh, I love this thing. It gets toasty so fast. Now, if I wanted to, at this point, I could add in some can of oil. Sorry, just had to rotate something. I could add in some can of oil here and have that ready for frying in the onions and just starting with it from the get-go and just loving it up. And we could do that. But as mentioned in previous live streams, we have 2 high-dose users, a low-dose user, and a no-dose in their edibles, or no edibles user. So basic dinner needs to be not infused, and then I add in the infusion for the specific people who need it. So like halfway through, I'll split it and do one way and one the other, or I'll just add in can of oil at the end. Today, I think I'm adding in can of oil at the end because, you know, I'm tired, and just the other day I made in a whole bunch of can of oil pucks. I might as well use them. Right? So, we need oil. Just a nice little sploosh to keep things from searing, because we're going to add lots of oil later for the people who are having cannabis. So we don't want to make things too greasy. I'm just going to sprinkle in some garlic powder because I didn't feel like chopping any garlic. And maybe a little bit of black pepper because I like black pepper. There we go, and now my house smells amazing. Isn't that great? Absolutely love it. Okay. So what we're doing is we're letting this cook down a little until we have a bit of a sear on our onions, because if you just cook onions straight into the water, because this has to boil, it's going to be a type of soup or stew that turns into curry. And if you just straight up boil onions, you get this soft, slimy, you know, less satisfying flavor. It's almost sweet, and that's not what we're looking for this dish. So what we're doing is we're caramelizing them and getting just a little bit of browning on them before we add in the rest of the vegetation and the beef. I love this cooktop. Smells good already though. Dinner's gonna be good tonight. See, if you cook these well enough early on, they pretty much disintegrate into the stew. So that's what curry is. It's just stew in Japan. Got carrots, got beef, got onions, got potatoes. You make it thick with spices. You serve it with a carb. It's good shit. Okay, let's start with the meat. We're just going to put a little bit of a sear onto the beef before we add in the carrots and potatoes. Today in my bung, I have a blend of, what was it? Oh, Berry Kush and Godzilla Glue. It's lovely. Yeah, see, it doesn't take long. We're just trying to brown it up a little bit. Just like we did with the beef for the enchiladas the other day. You get a little bit of a sear on it, leave it nice and around the middle, toss it in for its heat, and it'll just pull apart. We're going to need that. In goes the potatoes and carrots. Give it a little bit of a toss, so that all that lovely oil, and onion and fat and beef and everything touch everything else. That's how we get our flavors to blend. We're going to steam it for a few minutes while I grab the water. So, grabbed up some water. looks like we've got about 5-ish cups, maybe 5.5. Let that steam in. Looks like our rice. Let's see, can we slide things around so we can see everything? Our rice is still spitting and boiling right here. So it's not quite ready yet, but it's a-coming. You know, for how much my kids love this meal, it is super easy to make and very chill. There's a nice simmer sound. But you can still see there's still some pink here. It still looks pretty tender. We're just going to pretend we didn't just fling an onion off into the abyss. So we're going to leave that on. And you know what? While we're waiting, we're going to make a treat for one of my minions here. I have a small bowl. And I do. Let's have a small bowl. And then I have this stuff here that I mixed up the other day. So this is a blend of 3 parts of flour, 1 part of white sugar, and 1 part of brown sugar. And what makes this extra special is I cooked the flour because raw flour risks carrying disease. You don't need that. It's like food poisoning type stuff. Seriously no good. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add part of this blend. So the cooked flour plus the sugars. And then, so this can be eaten raw is the big point. We're going to add in a sprinkle of cinnamon. And a little bit of nutmeg for body. And both of these are also very rich in beta-caryophyllene. So that's going to be very good for various issues. Let's see, spice. We're going to take this spoon and we're going to sift it together, but we're also going to mush it because I don't know if you can see, but there's a whole bunch of actual chunks of the flour left. And that kind of, you know, less than tasty. So we're mushing. Honestly, what I should be doing is sifting and mushing that through a sieve. Let's see. Maybe my sieve. Just used it for the rice, but that's okay. I can dry it out. Well, I have to let this dry before I can use it as a proper sieve. Oh, rice just finished. Set that there. Okay, now that looks like it's been a few minutes, like it asks for. Looks good, smells good. Wonderful. So we're going to add in the water. And we're going to bring it to a boil. So we're going to jack this up. And this here, oh, I needed another bowl. That's what I need for the next step. Okay. So I gotta hold this or it's gonna make a mess. sifting this out so we don't have any nasty clumps left behind. Actually, I'm going to take a quick second here, and I am going to put a tea towel over my keyboard so that I'm not sifting. There. It's probably not the greatest for my laptop to have a fabric over it, but it's also way better than having flour and sugar put into my components. Goodness. Go through. We don't need to be pretty and polite about this. We just need you to do your job. Get your butt through the sieve. I admit I'm not as worried about the sugar as I am about the flour clumps, because clumps of flour in anything are gross. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad I'm putting this through the sieve. It's so chunky. Oh, set that down for a second. Give this a stir. Yeah, the big thing about the amount of water you use is that you want enough water that it's like a stove. You want enough water for there to be like broth, but not so much that you're like no chunks. Whoop. Look at me trying to make a mess. I'm good at making messes. It's okay, I'm also good at cleaning them up. Even if I don't like it. Or don't want to. Okay. Last chunk. Oh, to cook your flour, you just put it on a cookie sheet, spread out nice and thin, preferably on parchment paper, because that makes it easier to get out of your pan. And then you just bake it in the oven. I'd have to double check the temperature, but you just bake it for like 10-15 minutes. And that keeps it, makes it safe to eat. Kills off any germs or whatever's that's causing the issues. I wish I could remember off the top of my head why it is. Like, was it E. coli? It might be, but I can't remember for sure. My hand's getting tired. Is that enough? Yeah, it could be sweeter. So what I'm probably going to do here is I'm probably going to keep doing this until all of the white bits have been smushed through. I'm going to take out these hard chunks of sugar that are in the way. But I'm not worried about the actual crystals of sugar here, because those are going to go into the dish and be tasty. I just don't want any white clumpy bits or hard chunky bits of sugar. It looks like we're getting to an active boil too. Okay, so that's a boil. We are going to put this on for 20 minutes with the lid on it at a nice low simmer. And that just gets to sit there for 20 minutes. I'm going to set a timer. And from there we can pretty much ignore that curry until the next step. Okay, so here we're checking one more big sugar crystal. Okay, don't know if you guys can see, but there's no more white clumps of flour, so I'm just dumping those sugar crystals into the main mix. Okay, so we've got the cooked flour, the white sugar, the brown sugar, the cinnamon, and the nutmeg. And now we are going to take our softened can of butter. We're just going to mush it in. point is that we're making a dough. We are making chocolate chip cookie dough that you can eat without baking it. Because, you know, baked cookies are great and all, but sometimes you just want to sit there and eat cookie dough. And it's really good for using specific, like, you know, having a varied amount. Maybe sometimes you need a little bit of cookie, sometimes you need a lot of cookie. You know what? My hands, they are clean. And this will be easier by smooshing. This is usually why you have to do things like add your powders to your liquids separately and in bits so that you get an even distribution. Because this was way too clumpy trying to distribute it with the spoon. But by picking it up and squishing and mushing around, we are good. Getting a nice crumble. And that would be good if I was making an apple crisp or something like that. But I'm not. I'm making infused chocolate chip cookie dough. Which means we need more butter. What? I don't want the butter on my hands. I want the butter in the dough. Although it's not bad for my hands. I just prefer to use topicals specifically for that instead of butter. There we go. Starting to get doughy. Okay. See, and then you use the dough to grab the dough. See? Pulls it off of my hands for me. Wants to cling to itself. Make sure we have even texture kicking. Maybe I added a little bit much on the butter side of things. But that makes it very smooth and creamy, which is not necessarily bad. And it is going to thicken a little bit when we put it in the oven. Or not in the oven, but in the fridge. But I think that's too thin. Or we need more. We need more of our flour sugar blend. Because I got a little too excitable by adding all that butter. I should have added half of the butter that was left on that little plate. But flavor's good. Ooh, I should also add some vanilla. Just a little bit of vanilla. Also, I'm going to take a second to wash my hands because now I'm all sticky. And you guys probably noticed that I didn't do any measuring whatsoever as far as how much can of oil or butter I was putting in there. And that is straight up because this is intended for the high dose user of the household, or users of the household. So we have absolutely no worry about them being overwhelmed by it. So I'm not worried about tracking it in the making of it. If it was going to get used by any of the other users in the house, I would, but I really don't think it is. Okay, so I'm going to take a second here. Turn that little steam vent over there. Smush that around in the more liquidy dough first before we add in some more flour. Or flour blend, as the case may be. Okay, and I don't think I'm going to need an awful lot. Got plenty. Get the lid on that bad boy before I make a mess. Because I'm real good at making messes. Oh, there we go. Oh, my back popped. Now I can breathe again. Isn't that great? Oh, it popped again. Oh. Okay. Ah, yes, we wanted you smushed. Let's just go straight to smushing. the hard sugar, which we don't need. There we go. Sugar crystals in on top. And then, should be able to do this with a spoon now. There we go. That's getting the right texture for a dough. Dough should have a little bit of stiffness to it. Too floofy is... Well, I mean, it can make your cookies nice and melt away, but we're not making actual cookies. We're just making the dough. We're making the dough. Okay. Basic cookie dough. Got a good texture to it. It's missing something. Maybe it's missing some chocolate chips. Just a couple. Maybe a couple more. You measure chocolate chips with your salt. And my hands are already cupped again, so in they go. So, no eggs. No. Let's see. Yeah, that needs a little more chocolate chips. Unless I should add something else. But I think he likes just chocolate chips. I don't think he wants me to add peanuts or anything like that. There we go. There we go. There we go. Ooh, maybe I should put this in some ice cream. That could be good. This is good. I need a container. I need clean hands more than I need a container, though. Because otherwise I'm just going to get cookie dough all over my kitchen. There we go. It's clean. It's just... There we go. And now we'll leave this for a day or two and see how quickly he eats it. And if he eats it quickly, then this is a decent enough container. But if he doesn't eat it quickly, I'll portion it down into like little bite-sized pieces or something. And like put it into an ice cream or freeze it or, you know, make proper use of it, but not just leave it to go bad. And there's absolutely no reason why I'm flattening it perfectly right now. Other than that, I feel fussy. Pretty good. And I put it in the fridge for 20 minutes. And that oil is going to absorb into the flour. And it's going to shift the texture around again. And that's going to be great too. Label it. Always, always label your infusions. High dose CBN choc chip cookie dough. And it is the 14th. 05/14. That way. There we go. So people know what they're getting if they choose to use it. So that's it for that. We've still got 5 minutes left on our lovely curry. Oh, look at that. Oh, it smells good. It smells a little bland at this point, but that's okay because most of the flavor that isn't coming straight from these elements is coming from those curry pucks. So no worries there. Well, that's looking good. Okay. No, I don't want you to turn on. Okay. Where was I? Oh yeah, I was tidying up my space because I've been using all of these spoons. Well, remove the suffocating factor from my laptop. And we will start separating our curry pucks. Because they come in these absolutely big old pucks. But they're far too big to put into the thing and have it dissolve reasonably. Because then it's going to be lightly flavored curry everywhere else, and then somebody gets a mouthful of just pure curry puck. And it looks like chocolate, but it is not chocolate. It does smell good, though. Of course, that's because it smells like curry. But I kind of highly suspect that this is similar to what my bouillon is going to look like when it's all said and done. These are the can oil pucks that I was putting together just the other day. This still has 2 minutes left on it, where we're going to put those in, we stir them in, and then we let it sit for 10 minutes. Oh my goodness. I wonder if this means that I should pop into a game while we're waiting, because honestly, I don't really have anything left to do other than stir this together and assemble some bowls. Like seriously, nothing left. One bowl for me, one bowl for Berserker. The other kids, I don't even know if they're hungry yet. Let's see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Also, I just killed the bowl. Cook faster. I want it to cook faster, but I also want to go refill the bowl of my bong. But the second I walk away to refill the bowl of my bong, you know that timer's going off. There she goes. Okay, so lid comes off. We give it a stir. It looks good to me. We're going to give her a test poke. Here's the thing, if you don't cook your potatoes enough, whatnot, it's no good. So, oh, there we go. Sunk in nicely without going all mushy on us. How about carrots? Oh, perfect. Absolutely perfect. So now we're going to drop in the curry pucks. Actually, we're going to turn this off. We don't need that on anymore. We're going to drop in those curry pucks. We're going to set aside. Can oil is going to go back here so it doesn't melt. I'm going to move this over to the not hot portion. And now I'm nervous about my laptop again. So we're going to put that cloth back over, because then at least that way it'll slow down a spill, I guess. Let's see how it's melting. It's just going to dissolve itself away. And what you do is you just take your spatula and you go all the way to the bottom and you just do little circles at the bottom and scrape around the edges, and that'll agitate the entire pot without splashing. And you just keep doing that until the color evens out and it starts to thicken up, because, you know, see, do a scoop, it's still clumpy. Now technically you're only supposed to add 4 cups of water, so I added a little bit extra. but I also kind of expected it to boil down a little. So if this doesn't thicken up as much as I want it to, I can definitely add more, but no, look, there's a great big clump of it not thickening up anything. See, you just got to keep stirring. Let's see, there's more. Separate out, you. Because this is supposed to be a nice thick dish. So there should be some resistance by the time it's all done melting down. And then you put the lid on it and you let it sit for a good 10 minutes and it thickens up even more. And it does any last minute flavor infusing into the potatoes and the beef. See, now that's the right color. You want it to be a nice, even, robust color. Pop that there. Pop the lid on. We're going to put a timer on that bad boy for 10 minutes. And then that means that we have 10 minutes to kill. Berserker, how infused do you want your food? A little bit? A lot? Fairly? Okay. Okay. Hot stuff. Now I usually make sure. Okay, see, so I'm going to do a flip through. Now we don't actually eat these. So I'm going to take those out wherever I can find them. And I'm going to warn him that those were in there so that if he does come across any... Well, that's a bit much rice. If he does come across any in his dish, they don't surprise him. So I like it about... I put some black peppercorns in the rice while they were cooking to add some flavor. Yeah, it's going to be nice and tasty, but if I miss any pulling them out, it's going to be a surprise.
Yeah.
Same for bay leaves. I added 2 bay leaves. Watch me being all fussy. Oh, and there we go. Shoo. Spoons, proper ladle for serving. Don't really need this anymore. Oh, and we can put the lid back on the rice. Okay, and I tend to put the can of oil inside underneath stuff so that it melts proper. So I am going to put 1 puck in one of these and 3 pucks in the other. Because that's appropriate to the doses people are needing. That seems a little on the thin side to me, but you know what? I think he's gonna be okay. It'll soak into the rice real nice. Do I have a bigger ladle? I do. Good. That's a teeny ladle. Take forever. Oh, and let's mark these because once I fill them up, they aren't going to be good anymore. So I'm going to put the spoon in the one that's a higher dose. Okay. There we go. Look at that beauty. Lots of chunks. We can fill it up with the broth. Go. Get a little dish to put that ladle on because you should never leave plastic ladles in anything warm. And there you have it. Curry. So I'm going to deliver this before they get confused, and then I'm going to give it a taste test. Oh, and your oil's at the bottom as per usual. Only if it melted and rose.
Look at this. Look at it just flying around.
Okay, it's hot. Okay, it's hot. It's hard to... Well, bring your bowl back and I'll give you more rice. He can't stand. Okay. Yeah. Sure. He likes his curry to have a very specific rice to broth ratio.
Not very specific.
Well, it's what you like. Everybody has a specific broth and whatnot. Just not what I gave you. That's allowed, you know.
Yes, but it's not like super specific.
Okay, just because I don't need a scientific measuring tool to make it happen doesn't mean it's not very specific. If you're gonna like fuss about it not being what you need, then it's not what you need. He doesn't like it to be soupy at all.
Yeah, I just like more rice than soup.
Yes, that's specific. It's okay. It's not bad. See, I like mine side by side, so I eat a certain amount of broth with a certain amount of rice for whichever biting I want, and he likes his all mixed in. To return. Here you go. Try it. You're welcome. Alrighty tidy. Let's give this a better shot with some actual stuff in it. Give me some more rice. Hot. Hot. Oh my. Tasty but hot. Tasty but hot. All right. No, that's good. I'm going to finish eating. I am going to let the other kids know there's food ready. Because I doubt they're going to be putting any weed in there. So they can just dish themselves up. No problem. But yeah, that's it. Infused beef curry. Thank you for joining me. And catch me next time. It's going to be Tuesday afternoon. And I don't know what I'm making yet, but I'm always making something. We'll see what's up next on my Practically Infused Life. And until next time, please enjoy the freedoms that come with a fully supported endocannabinoid system. Bye.